would believe that you could have this gigantic booster and comes down and you catch it with chopsticks. And I keep thinking that one night they're all working late and they've got Chinese and they're talking about how to do this and somebody says, we can just grab it. I'd sure like to know the story.
I think it's related to Mr. Miyagi.
Man who catch fly with chopstick accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Az Orion Űrnemzedék Közhasznú Alapítvány már a sokadik eszméletlenül színvonalas eseményét rendezte meg január 17-én. A Rocket Reveal is az első hazai űrkongresszus után, melyeken mi is ott voltunk, és persze készítettünk róluk beszámolót is, ezúttal a Space Charity Gála került megrendezésre Balatonfüreden. Dáviddal és Bálinttal hárman mi is ellátogattunk erre az eseményre, és rengeteg izgalmas vendéggel találkoztunk. Ott volt például Farkas Bertalan, az első és eddigi egyetlen magyar kutató űrhajós. Aztán Ferenc Orsolya űrkutatásért felelős miniszteri biztos, dr. Schlegel Ádám, a Hunor Magyar űrhajós program kutatási specialistája, korábbi űrhajós jelölt. Valamint élőben találkoztunk Mátyás Bencével, aki nemrég vendégünk volt, és cége a Genesis Mission Possible küldetéséről beszélt nekünk ebben az adásban. Továbbá ott volt Magyari Gábor is, aki Magyari Béla űrhajós fia, kereskedelmi pilóta, akivel nem mellesleg ebben a videónkban beszélgettünk óriásit. Tök jó élmény volt ennyi általunk is ismert emberrel végre személyesen találkozni. Emellett persze voltak űrtematikájú kiállítók, az Európai űrügynökség által támogatott Teller-Rexus csapat, aztán volt űrkoktélbár, salátabár, szivarklub és kaszinó, az Elysian új ruha kollekcióját mutatta be Kalmus Felicián csodás zenéjére, valamint Zólyami Zsolt, az illatok mestere elkalauzolt minket az érzékek világába egy varázslatos űrutazás során. Mi pedig megpróbáltuk végre egy kicsit elengedni magunkat az előző napi dupla indítás után, ha emlékeztek rá, a New Glenn bemutatkozó indítása és a Starship 7. tesztrepülése ugyanazon a napon történt meg végül, amiket mi is maratoni élőadások keretében közvetítettünk. De számunkra még egy kivételes lehetőséget tartogatott az este, ugyanis 3 nagyon különleges vendéggel sikerült villáminterjút készítenünk, a továbbiakban ezeket szeretnénk nektek megmutatni. Az első interjú alanyunk Manlio Di Stefano volt, aki az Axiom Space vállalat senior stratégiai tanácsadója, a vállalat nemzetközi terjeszkedését irányítja és erős partnerségeket épít a világ különböző pontjain. A vele készített beszélgetés azért fontos számunkra, mert az Axiom Space-el együttműködésben megy Kapu Tibi a Nemzetközi Űrállomásra az Axiom 4 küldetés keretében, és pontosan ezért volt különleges lehetőség számunkra, hogy válthattunk pár szót Manlioval.
We like to call it normalizing access to space. It means that for the last 60 years, only a small group of countries have had the chance to dream big because of the funds, because of the political investments, because of the political power. The commercial space is opening this possibility to everyone, and the great thing is that for countries like Hungary, what has taken decades for others can be achieved in a few years. Because it's just a need of having the political willingness, the infrastructural capability, or the willing to develop it. And companies like Axiom can really be the facilitator of it. We don't think ourselves like the one flying astronauts. That's one of the services we offer. Our idea is to be a partner that can help any stakeholder to make a giant leap forward in the space capability. We have a big duty on us. We have the responsibility to replace the ISS. And I know that when you go to commercial sector, everything can happen. We think ourselves like the one that will be able to enable what I was talking about before, enable a new capability even for NASA. Because now when NASA decided to invest more in the Moon and Mars and beyond, what has left behind is is everything that was already tried for decades in the low Earth orbit. And there's going to be a vacuum if no entity like Axiom will cover this vacuum. So we have a big responsibility. We think that even though a few countries have already experienced the incredible possibilities that are in the research in microgravity, there are the vast majority of the others that never set a foot on the low Earth orbit. So we want to be that entity that is able to aggregate, is able to tell people you can dream big. Your children can become the next astronaut, or even staying on Earth, the next exploiter of the resources on the orbit. And when I say resources, I mean research, I mean STEM, I mean we do a lot, for example, of anti-cancer research. We do so many things, material science. So I think my idea, and I'm pretty certain of it, is that in the next 20 years, you will see an incredible growth on the application on Earth of the science that we performed in the microgravity environment. Okay, first of all, we are already big partners of those entities. Obviously, NASA is a huge partner of us. We fly astronauts through them, and we want to be really replacing the ISS, so we are going to be very much in contact with them. But we also signed an MOU and we have an ongoing deal with ESA. We already flown 2 astronauts through ESA. We think that obviously they will do their job. They may be thinking about even having their own station in the future, but surely, as it happened with internet, for example, at the very beginning, huge investments to build the infrastructure. Now every one of us is looking just to have the service. We don't want to own the infrastructure because it's costly, you need to maintain it. In low Earth orbit, I think that this is the same kind of switch that is happening, you know? The big players may decide, okay, if I have 100 of funds, I will invest all of them in the result, not in the infrastructure. So that is where we see ourselves. And I think that is revolutionary.
Többek között megkérdeztük, hogyan érezte magát, és találkozott már esetleg a 2 magyar kutatóűrhajóssal, Tibivel és Gyulával.
Tonight I was at the table with the first Hungarian astronaut, so I was very happy about that. I took pictures also, you know, and I never had the chance to meet him because I based in Rome, but I'm going to Houston very soon, so I will have the chance.
Awesome. We seriously looking forward to this mission. It's gonna be awesome.
Aztán jelen volt még Eryn Andrews, NASA mérnök, aki az űrállomás-rendszerek tervezésével és üzemeltetésével, az űrhajós személyzet és fedélzeti mérnökök képzésével, valamint küldetésirányítással és űrlogisztikával foglalkozik immáron több mint 15 éve.
My name is Eryn Andrews and I work at the Johnson Space Center and I work in the field of spacewalking. My degree is in engineering and then I have a master's degree in human factors and then I've worked as a flight controller and now currently I'm working on lunar spacewalking research. I will be sad when the ISS finally retires. That's something I grew up with as a child and has inspired many dreams. But I'm also excited to see the commercial space programs come online. I'm excited to see the innovation that they're bringing and what that's going to enable for humankind to go forth to the stars. I see NASA leading this industry, so we hope to pass off a lot of the low Earth orbit activities to the private industries, you know, private tourism, business, and then we're hoping to then point NASA out towards the stars, so Mars and beyond, and then have commercial industry follow right behind us and then take over, and again frees up NASA to then go even further and just let that cycle continue.
Végül, de nem utolsó sorban pedig Jim Christensen is itt volt, aki az Aldrin Family Foundation nyugalmazott innovációs igazgatója, továbbá a Nasa Kennedy Űrközpontjának volt oktatási igazgatója, aki nagyon érdekes sztorikkal lepett meg minket.
Okay, Teaching from Space is a program that started. It was a Teaching from Space program, but it was initially started when Kristen McCullough was going to fly on the Challenger, and the program was set up to help her to handle all the logistics, because it's not just okay, we're going to have a downlink. There's a lot that goes into it. After that, the program kept going in kind of small ways. Video conferencing came on the scene. And I happened to live in a state where there was a statewide video conferencing center, and nobody really knew what to do with it. A lot of people looked at it and said, oh, it's television made small. I looked at it and said, it's a telephone on steroids. And I started developing projects. I was a 6th grade teacher at that time, and I started developing projects where my students would build something, a partner class would do it, we'd get on video conference and talk. I got this idea that I should connect my kids who were very isolated to other schools and other kids, and then to experts. And I began to think, who would be the coolest person in the world to talk to? And I thought, an astronaut. So I started building towards that. NASA became aware of me in these programs because I was working with them. And the center director, at that time, Mr. George Abbey, gave me an opportunity to enter the Teaching from Space program so I could, and I was tasked with setting up the procedures to do this from station to classrooms. Okay, long story, but it was pretty amazing what we were doing back then. Now, it used to be, it took us so much time with the logistics. Last July, a friend came up and said, hey, I have a meeting, I'd like you to go with me to it. We walk out to the parking lot to our car. He pulls out his phone, opens up Teams on his phone, and calls Jeanette Epps on the International Space Station. Oh, how times have changed.
So basically you paved the way for all these programs that we see now today on NASA TV, let's say, when schools are phoning up an astronaut. Is that correct?
Partly. Yeah, I was there at the beginning, and I was the one that did it first, and it wasn't like I'm the only one in the office, but I had that idea, and nobody was doing it at that time. Now, there's been a lot done since then. I spent a lot of time in the development process trying to figure out how to help kids know what kinds of questions to ask. Because you've got time with an astronaut in space, that's like every second is a chunk of gold. And you don't want to waste it. And so I had a whole chapter in a paper about that. And then I had a whole chapter about how a class that does one of these events should share it with somebody else or multiple places. But yeah, to answer your question, I kind of pinched myself, but yeah, I was there. That's what I did. Of course, space exploration is a matter of national pride. Here in Hungary it is, in the United States it is. If China were to start making serious progress towards a human landing on the moon, there would be real rumblings in the United States. But I don't think that's the future. You know, we're going to limp along and get enough money to win the race. But once the race is won, the same thing that will happen is what happened with Apollo. I think what's going to keep that from happening is the billionaires are going to discover how to make money from the moon. And I think what we'll see is settlement on the moon, mining on the moon, materials thrown into lunar orbit, picked up by a lunar orbiting, always in the sun, processing facility, and being shipped back, just given a shove back at Earth and built around Earth. Now, this isn't happening next year. This is beginning, it's going to begin soon. But I think we're going to see some really major construction projects in 50 years. You know, it's possible to make those, get titanium and aluminum on the moon, make it into something that you can construct, send it back to Earth, or send it to L1, and build the Starship Enterprise. First, I don't think there's any best way. I think there's many ways to do it. But I think a thing that has to happen, at least I have little experience with Hungarian schools. I've visited 2 Hungarian schools. I've talked to less than 150 kids, but they were great kids. In American schools, a problem with teaching space is it's not in the science standards. So I had to find ways around the standards, and what I did was, you have to realize if you're going to space, you have to have air, water, food, shelter, energy, emergency medical, transportation, communications. The same thing we need here. Oh, those are in the standards. let's teach them in the context of the moon. And if you can get teachers to start doing that, and I think that could happen over here, and find ways to teach those in the context of current standards, and then people start saying, hey, kids get excited about space. We can do something with this. And they'll start saying, oh, let's see, we can have kids checked out and bored, or we can have kids engaged. It doesn't take long for a teacher to figure that one out. It didn't take me long. And so I think changing that mindset about space in schools, get kids doing some projects. You know, you don't have to throw out everything you do, but some project-based learning is a nice addition. Valuing communication and collaboration skills as highly as you value academic achievement. I think those are all steps in the right direction.
Természetesen nem hagyhattuk ki, és megkérdeztük őket, mit gondolnak a Starship és a New Glenn rakétákról, hiszen a gála előtti napon indították mindkét óriás rakétát, melyeket, mint ahogy említettem, mi is élőben közvetítettünk.
So I did not get to see yesterday's launches, but I have seen Starship and the New Glenn launches in general, and they're amazing. They're exciting. I love seeing what SpaceX has done with the recoverable rocket technology, something I had never envisioned as a child, and it's just really cool to see these wild and crazy ideas come to life, and now they're going to be normal and common. So like the children of today, they're going to grow up always having known that. So I think that's fantastic, and I'm excited to see all the new ideas that they're going to bring and develop.
Jimnek megemlítettem, hogy kis hián 5000 ember nézte velünk a Starship 7. tesztrepülését, ami, mint tudjátok jól, óriási dolog volt számunkra.
I'm glad you're doing the work you are and you're building this. I'm not demeaning 5,000. That's a lot of people. It doesn't happen all at once. The Starship, who would believe that you could have this gigantic booster and comes down and you catch it with chopsticks? And I keep thinking that one night they're all working late and they've got Chinese and they're talking about how to do this, and somebody says, you know, we can just grab it. I'd sure like to know the story.
I think it's related to Mr. Miyagi.
Man who catch fly with chopstick accomplish anything.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm especially excited about Blue Origin because the Blue Origin factory is almost within sight of my house. If I didn't have trees, I could see it. It's really close. So it's that rocket. I like Blue Origin's philosophy of being careful and trying to cover all the bases. I have respect for the SpaceX theory of fail fast. But I'm an old guy. I kind of like, let's be careful, let's try to cover all the bases, and then we'll give it a try. I think there's going to be room for both. In fact, I think both will be essential. You know, when NASA builds SLS, Space Launch System, and puts it out on the pad, people get excited. You know, they say, okay, rollout's going to be at such and such a time. And we drive out to the Max Brewer Bridge out on the north side of town, and you can see it come out and drive out the whole way. Of course, you don't watch the whole thing because it's like watching grass grow. But there's this giant rocket. I could see New Glenn out on the pad. That's one big rocket. I can only imagine Starship, what that thing looks like. When they launch, my house shakes.
Really?
Yes, really. It is amazing. I never thought I'd be this guy, but like if it's an overnight launch, I don't set my alarm. I wait for my windows to shake, and then I get up and I go out and watch. If it's during the day, I typically, you know, I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be 11:55, and I run out and I watch it. But I see the rocket when it's about that high, and I hear it when it's about that high, because we're about 12 miles from the pad. That's 60 seconds.
Nagyon bízunk benne, hogy tetszett ez a rövid beszámoló.
Yeah, I give you a number. I said during my speech also. This mission will see the return to space after 40 years of 3 different nations.
Yes.
How cool it is.
It's amazing. We're so looking forward to it, and we are going to stream it on our channel. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, and good luck with the channel. We need this. We need information on space. We need people to dream big.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
A második hazai űrkongresszus valamikor június közepén kerül megrendezésre, ahová az Orion és a saját nevünkben is mindenkit várunk nagy szeretettel. Az Orion Űrnemzedék Közhasznú Alapítvánnyal a jövőben is szoros együttműködést tervezünk, nagyon izgalmas terveik vannak 2025-re, érdemes őket követni, az elérhetőségeiket a videó leírásában találjátok. Nagyon szépen köszönjük, hogy megnéztétek ezt a videót. Ha tetszett, semmisítsétek meg a like gombot, iratkozzatok fel a csatornára, legyetek csatorna támogatók, küldjetek nekünk egy szuper köszit, hívjatok meg minket egy kávéra a Patreonon, és nem mellesleg nézzetek szét a webshopunkban nagyon cool Space Junkies cuccokért. Mi pedig találkozunk a következő videóban. Addig is a tolóerő legyen veletek. Hajrá Team Space, hajrá Space Junkie!